All right, what's happening, everybody? I'm your man Akeem, and welcome to the Sports News Insider College Football Blog. Here to recap week 2 of the college football season. What another great week it was, and a lot of close matchups between some of the top schools in the nation. Great finishes at the end of some of the best games of the week. Starting with the Notre Dame Michigan game. That was pretty much the game of the week and the best game this week. This was a close win. Michigan ended up winning 35-31 due to a last-second touchdown pass from quarterback Denard Robinson to Roundtree. Roundtree only had one catch that entire game, and that was for the game winner. And it was a great matchup. Now, one thing everybody was confused about was those last two drives. Both Notre Dame and the Michigan defenses just did not step up. They did not even play. They acted like they weren't even on the field. Notre Dame just marched down the field, get that 31-28 lead, and then at the end of the game, Michigan ended up driving the ball due to a couple of deep passes from Denard Robinson to his receivers and ended up pulling that 35-31 point victory. Now, I feel pretty bad for Brian Kelly, for Notre Dame, the head coach for Notre Dame, having two straight losses starting the season with two losses. That's pretty tough, and they have to bounce back. They might not even make it to a bowl game due to their schedule. They still have a couple of tough teams to play later on in the season, but we will see. Hopefully, they'll be able to bounce back and get everything together. But a great win for the Michigan Wolverines. Another close matchup between Colorado and California, in which California won 36-33 due to a last-second touchdown pass from Zach Maynard to his half-brother Keenan Allen for a 5-yard touchdown catch. It was a great game, and then one thing I have to point out, I have to give some big ups to receiver Paul Richardson. 248 yards receiving with 2 touchdowns. He was the receiver for the Colorado Buffaloes. He had a big game. Now, this was an NFL game. He would rack up in points. He had a big game, and I had to give him some props in this video. But a good win for the California Golden Bears. Next game to talk about, close game between USC and Utah. USC ended up winning 17-14, but Utah was pretty much staying with USC the entire game. It was a close game, and I did have Utah winning, but USC ended up pulling the 3-point victory. Good win for the Trojans. Next game to talk about, Alabama versus Penn State. I called Alabama to win this game, and this was my game of the week. Alabama ended up winning 27-11. Now, the reason why they lost, Penn State couldn't get their offense together. Yes, they were playing probably the best defense in the nation, but they just couldn't get any balance on offense. And we still don't know who's going to be that starting quarterback for the later games between Robert Bolden and Matt McGloin. The competition is still intact for that game. Now, as far for Alabama, it looks like A.J. McCarron is going to be that starting quarterback for this team during the season over Phillip Sims. He threw for a good touchdown pass, plus he had help from Trent Richardson, who had 111 yards rushing and 2 scores. Good win for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and I think they're going to do pretty well this season. They're going to be probably one of the front runners to win the SEC championship this season, but they still got a lot of tough SEC matchups later on this year, and I'll keep you posted on that. Another close game between Rutgers and North Carolina. North Carolina won 24-22. I called North Carolina at that game. Also, the Mississippi State Auburn game. What a great matchup it was, and Auburn ended up winning 41-34 due to a last-second goal line stand and for the last play. It was a great game. I really thought Mississippi State should have won this game, but Auburn ended up pulling off the upset, beating the 16th-ranked Mississippi Bulldogs. Great win for the Tigers. Another close game, Missouri against Arizona State, in which Arizona State pulled the upset with the 37-30 game victory in overtime. It was a great matchup, and it had a great quarterback display from Arizona State quarterback Brock Osweiler. 353 yards passing with 3 scores. He had a great game, and I think everybody needs to keep an eye on him in that Pac-12 conference. He's a good quarterback, and the Sun Devils look like they're going to be could be that South Division winner for the Pac-12. They're still one of the front runners, in my opinion, to win that Pac-12 South. One of my sleepers in the Pac-12. Everybody keep a lookout for the Sun Devils. They have a great team. Good job for them, and a good victory over the Tigers. One blowout game to talk about, Wisconsin over the Oregon State Beavers, 35-0. Egg hole, big win for the Wisconsin Badgers. Everybody definitely going to keep an eye on them for the Big Ten Conference, and I think they're probably going to win this season in the Big Ten. I gave them as my winner for this season, but we will see. I'll keep you guys posted. Another close game, Texas over BYU 17-16. Garrett Gilbert, their starting quarterback, was pulled in the second quarter due to throwing 2 interceptions. So Coach Mack Brown had to put in David Ash and Colt McCoy's little brother, Casey McCoy, to split time at quarterback, and they ended up pulling the 17-16 point victory. They ended up rallying late in the game, and it was a great win for the Texas Longhorns over a good BYU defensive BYU team. Now the problem at quarterback for Texas is still intact. They still don't really know who's going to be that full-time starter. It looks like Mac Brown has a lot in his hands, and I'll keep you posted on who's going to be that starting quarterback for the Texas Longhorns. A couple of other good matchups that happened last week. Stanford crushed Duke 44-14. I thought it was going to be a great aerial display, but I was proven wrong. Stanford just ended up crushing them. Andrew Luck, still one of the Heisman frontrunners this season. Next game to talk about, TCU. I had TCU over Air Force. They ended up winning 35-19. They ended up controlling that triple option play from Air Force and ended up pulling a good victory. And another big game between Cincinnati and Tennessee, in which quarterback Tyler Bray, the Tennessee quarterback, threw for 4 touchdowns, and they ended up pulling a big victory over a good Cincinnati team. And I really thought Cincinnati was going to win this one, but it pretty much proved me right about Cincinnati playing in the SEC. I forgot a couple of years ago that they got crushed by Florida in the Sugar Bowl, and they still cannot handle playing teams in the SEC, especially at an SEC conference game. This was a big win for the Tennessee Volunteers, and they're probably one of the other sleepers for the SEC conference, but we will see. I like to point out Tyler Bray had a great game, over 300 yards passing. Good job for him. Another close game. Fresno State put up a good fight against number 10 Nebraska. Nebraska ended up winning 42-19, pulling away in the fourth quarter. But Fresno State had Nebraska on the ropes, and it was a little bit scary though. They showed their weakness. They showed Nebraska's weakness, in which they still haven't developed a good passing game. Taylor Martinez needs to improve his passing game. Everybody knows that he can run the football, but they have to force him to pass. If they force Nebraska to pass, Nebraska's in deep trouble, and they really need some improvement at the quarterback position as a passer. Taylor Martinez needs to improve as a passer, but it was still a close win for Nebraska, and they still have some key Big Ten matchups later on in the season. Now, overall this week, I was 11-14. My 4 losses was the Mississippi State Auburn game. I picked Mississippi State. I picked Utah over USC. USC ended up winning. And I picked Cincinnati over Tennessee. Tennessee ended up crushing them. And the other game that I lost was the Hawaii-Washington game, in which Washington won 40-32. So overall this week, I was 11-4. Overall in the season, 24-8. Not bad. A little bit over 70%. We still got a lot of games to talk about. More weeks in college football. And I'll catch you on my next video on Wednesday to give you my predictions for week 3 of the college football season. Thank you for watching today's vlog. I'm your man Akeem McCall from Sports News Insider. Be easy.